This car should just die. Just die. Die. Can Nissan bolster their slumping sales performance of the Nissan Altima with the latest Nissan Altima offering? Let's find out. Hello and welcome back to Gears and Tech. As you can see here, we have a brand new 2022 Nissan Altima 4-door. We're gonna do a review of this car today. Is this the car that Nissan is hoping will increase their sales numbers for the Altima? That's the question we wanna find out, because the Nissan Altima has had declining sales numbers since 2016. Yes, since 2016, the sales numbers have been dropping year over year, and it's a big problem. It's something that Nissan needs to address, and it's something that they're hoping to address with this, the 2022 Nissan Altima. Now, this particular Altima is the Midnight Edition SR Altima. That is a super cool sounding trim level. Yes, leveraging the famous SR initials off of their engines, the SR20, which who wouldn't love to leverage the SR initials on their sweet new Altima? So what comes in the SR trim of Nissan Altima? I'm glad you asked. It comes equipped with a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine pumping out 188 horsepower. You heard me correctly, only 188 horsepower out of a 2.5 liter. We haven't seen numbers like that since Ford put out a 2.5 liter. Now, before we go jumping to conclusions about poor engineering or just slapping an engine together and see what kind of horsepower it makes, or, you know, just laziness in car manufacturing in general, let's give it a fair chance, okay? Let's get it on the road, let's give it a test drive. But before we do that, we want to talk about some of the other stats for this car. I know you're wondering, 188 horsepower, how fast does it go 0 to 60? Well, again, I'm glad you asked. This tired old 2.5 liter sewing machine propels this car from 0 to 60 in like 7.8 seconds. And again, you haven't seen performance that underwhelming since the last time you borrowed your dad's Ford Focus. But Nissan has one little trick up their sleeve. I'm gonna show you what it is. It's at the back of the car right over here. Right here, AWD. That's not a weird acronym for what would Anton do. That is all-wheel drive. Is this secretly packing the all-wheel drive system from track superstars like the GTR? Is it? Well, you gotta wait for the road test to find out, because we're gonna talk about that. There you can see the sweet Midnight SR. Awesome, right? Awesome. Awesome. Now, before we move into the inside of the car, let's talk about some of the exterior features. These come with 19-inch wheels from the factory, which would look really cool, except this is a rental car and somebody has already curbed the wheels and make them look not so cool, which I guess it's to be expected. It's got a really cool front end with lots of neat angly designs and all of that. So that's pretty neat, and it does make it look attractive. Let's see what's inside. So inside the car, we actually have a lot of just standard features that you would expect. You've got your power windows, power locks. You've got a well-appointed steering wheel that has lots of buttons to keep you from getting distracted while you're driving on the road. Got a huge infotainment screen on here, which powers your AM, FM, your Sirius XM. It also supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with a USB connection down here. I did not test the wireless capability. I believe it has it, but I can't confirm that for sure. As you already heard, it has the 2.5 liter engine with a CVT transmission. Now, this is the part where you're supposed to be like, whoa, CVT transmission! But we all know that Nissan and CVT do not go well together. This is a very serious concern for me, and we'll talk about it more on the drive, but nobody is rejoicing about the CVT transmission. Nobody. It's got lots of other neat features, which we'll talk about while I'm on the driving impression, which we'll get to very shortly. But some things that I did want to mention in here, it does have USB-A and USB-C ports up here. It also has a cigarette plug. So if you're like me and you've got a multi-USB adapter, or in my case, charging all of my GoPro cameras so that I can bring these videos to you, that's a nice feature to have. Up here in the middle compartment, though, there is no plug. There's no USB charger plugs. There's no cigarette plug. There's no 12-volt socket. There is no way to cleanly put something in here to charge or to do anything with because there's no plug there. Now I know what you're thinking. Aha, Anton, probably it's in the back seat. And I looked there, and what I found in the back seat is more USB plugs. So I found a USB-A and a USB-C and no 12-volt auxiliary sockets, which, you know, maybe we're there. Maybe we're at the point where people only need a USB port, but these are not high power USB ports. They do not quick charge my phone. When I plug my phone into it, I do not get quick charge 2.0 or 3.0 or anything. It is slow charge. And that means that you need something like this, which I'll put a link in the description if you need one. This has quick charge 3.0. That means I can charge my cell phone in like 30 minutes with that. But the car itself only gives me one 12-volt auxiliary port in this whole car that I have found. I can't find it anywhere. So that's first major strike for this car. Otherwise, the interior feels nice. The leather feels good. In fact, I might be getting jaded, but I think that this is fake leather. And if it is, then Nissan has done a way better job than Ford did on the Mach-E, because this leather feels infinitely better than the Mach-E's leather interior. In fact, the entire interior in this feels way better than what the Mach-E offers for twice the price. So that's saying a lot for Nissan, and it does kind of tie in with what I like about Nissan. If it is not fake leather, well, then it actually feels like kind of cheap leather. So it feels like really good fake leather or kind of bad real leather, if that makes any sense. Enough about the interior. Let's get this thing on the road and see how this thing performs. Before we get too far into this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below. If you've seen some of our content already and have not subscribed, we want you to join our community. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let's get back to the video. As soon as you get in the car and you start driving it, the first thing you're gonna notice is that it actually feels pretty good as far as the trim, as far as the appointments, as far as, you know, what sort of options the car has on it. The steering wheel feels nice. Dash is nice. It uses a number of different materials to try and create that contrast. It has the nice double stitching over here. The infotainment is a nice large screen. It's easy to find what you're looking for. It's easy to pull up the menu and then flip through whatever it is you're trying to do. It does support Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so you can flash whatever's on your phone right up on the screen here. There is some USB ports down under here that will allow you to sync through it through a wired USB connection. The gauge cluster is nice. I like that it has the actual analog gauges still. That's something that's going away on a lot of cars, and it's nice to see that still here. There is a gauge in the middle, or a screen in the middle, that will show all kinds of driver information. So it does still bring you up to the current generation as far as what sort of features cars have or don't have. But that's where a lot of this ends. The Altima has been having declining sales figures year over year for at least the last 4 years. And it's hard to really put your finger on why exactly that is. I think part of the reason for that, maybe I'm not part of the target demographic for this car anymore, but I think back to the old Altima. Think back to the one, I did a review on the older Altima, the two-door coupe Altima with the 3.5 V6. That car was amazing. They sold a ton of that car. It worked out awesome, and I don't understand why. Nissan had the formula. They had it figured out. They knew what would make the car sellable, what people bought, and it's like they threw it all in the garbage and said, you know, let's try something else. Maybe you guys like something else. No, we don't like something else. We like what was working. So what did they change? The engine in this. The only option for an engine is a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated, pumping out about 188 horsepower. There is a 2-liter direct injected variable compression turbocharged engine, pumping out about 235 or 240 horsepower, which is great. But if you pick the turbocharged model, you can't get the all-wheel drive. Now that's the only redeeming quality that this car has, and that is that it does give you the option for a fee to add all-wheel drive. Now this car that we are testing does have the all-wheel drive, and I gotta say, on the dry roads here in British Columbia, surprisingly, it is not raining today. I was hoping it would be raining so that I could test the traction, but it's not. So think back to the old days. And when I say old days, I'm thinking the late 80s, early 90s. There was a specific Nissan that was making waves everywhere for its all-wheel drive. Now, those of you who know, you already know, but I'm talking about Godzilla himself, the GTR. The all-wheel drive in that car was fantastic. In fact, the car itself, I mean, it was a pretty fast car, but the all-wheel drive was what made the biggest difference for that. And I wonder if Nissan's hoping to regain some of that glory with this. Now, I've tried to research how this all-wheel drive system works, and unfortunately, nobody is talking about it. I have also owned two R32 Nissan Skylines with the all-wheel drive system, so I have extensive first-hand experience driving the Godzilla itself, the king of them all, the all-wheel drive that slayed on the track and makes mediocre drivers seem like professionals, such as myself. So I know what a good all-wheel drive system should feel like, and I've been trying to figure out how this one works and if it even remotely compares to Godzilla. My initial impression is no, it doesn't. To get the all-wheel drive, the only way to do it is to get naturally aspirated 180 horsepower model, which does 0 to 60 in a not staggering 7.5 seconds, 7.7 seconds. You could time it with your stopwatch to try and figure it out, and you would still have time to like go get a snack, come back and keep timing, and then it would be at 60. It is so underwhelming, and I don't want to downplay this. It is underwhelming. It's kind of bad. And if Nissan thought that this was going to be the system that would rejuvenate the Altima brand, I don't think they're there. Like, quite honestly, I don't. Who's this marketed at? I don't know. See, the Altima slot's kind of on the lower end. It's not as good as a Maxima, but it's not as bad as a Sentra. It fits right in the middle. Who buys a Maxima? A family guy buys a Maxima. Who buys Sentra? A student buys a Sentra. A kid, a parent for their kid, they buy Sentras. So who's left to buy the Altima? It's always been the enthusiast. It's always been the guy that wanted performance but has a family, so they need a back seat. The fact that you could always get the Maxima running gear in a smaller, lighter car that was cheaper. Like, you could get rid of options. You could give up certain things like a heated steering wheel. Give the Maxima the heated steering wheel. Give the Altima a turbocharged all-wheel drive. Like, yes, please. But for whatever reason, no, they didn't do that. They said, no. If you got the turbo, no all-wheel drive for you. That's it. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. This car retails for between 30 and 40,000 Canadian dollars. It's 20 and 35,000 dollars US. You're gonna want to get the all-wheel drive. Screw the turbocharged engine. It's front-wheel drive if you go turbo. It's not the car you're looking for. Like, quite honestly, this isn't the car that you're looking for. Again, I don't know who the target market is for this, but it's not me. It's not me. I hoped it would. I was super excited to test this car. And as you know, I love my Nissans. I love them. I've loved every Nissan, but I think maybe it's this. So a lot of auto manufacturers are in the process of completely cutting out their car offerings for SUVs. And that's because people just keep wanting SUVs. Why? Well, mostly because they have all-wheel drive, they got decent fuel economy and whatever, and that's what this is. This is an SUV that doesn't do anything that an SUV should be able to do, because it's got a trunk with small cargo, it's all-wheel drive, which is great, so you get good traction in the winter time. It's got a small 4-cylinder engine, underpowered. It's got a CVT transmission, which is horrible. It creates simulated gear changes, but they're bad. I got flappy paddle shifter, which, I mean, I can simulate gears, but I mean, I don't know. What difference does this make, really? It just makes the engine rev higher. So it's got an 8-speed simulated gear change, but again, who cares? It's a tech package that has 4 doors and a back seat that's not cheap, it's not fun, and the transmission's gonna break. The only redeeming quality is the steering wheel feels good. I like the shape. I like the flat racing inspired bottom. The flappy paddle shifters, while gimmicky, they look cool and they make me feel cool. And with that, I guess we'll go back to me wrapping this all up. So overall, what do I think of this car? It's a dud. It's a huge dud. I mean, I'm not gonna pull any punches. I'm not impressed. It drives okay, but it's a new car. Of course it should drive okay. It is underpowered. Transmission is questionable at best. The price is, I mean, it's okay as far as price goes, but is this really the best that Nissan has to offer? Like, if you wanted to kill the car brand, why not just kill it? I mean, why put out a piece of junk, a steamy pile of crap, and then force everyone to cancel the car because nobody wants to buy the car? Why would you do that? And I guess that's kind of it for me. I have asked myself this of a lot of auto manufacturers. I mean, you could make anything you want. You can draw it, you can design it, you can make it. Sure, you've got constraints like materials you can use, but isn't it really the price? Doesn't it always come down to the price? What can you do for the price that you want to sell it at? And is this really the best that Nissan could do at the price they want to sell it at? I don't know. I really don't get it. I can't recommend this car to anybody. And I think that this car should just die if this is what they're going to offer us. Like, just get rid of it, bring it back in 3 or 4 years when we all have nostalgic thoughts of the Altima, and then bring back something better. Like, Ford does that all the time. Other manufacturers do that all the time. Like, think of the Thunderbird. That was gone forever. Then they brought back something that was like at least a half-assed effort to try and make something cool, and they sold a lot of those to a bunch of old men. But this isn't going to sell to anybody except idiots. Also, if you have not noticed the location where we're filming this right now, let's pan out and do a wide shot. Did any of you notice the Walking Dead kind of vibe that this place has? Like, it's really weird. While I've been kind of walking around doing this segment, I get this really eerie feeling, like the metal on the wall over there is kind of flapping around. I'm waiting for a walker to come dragging its feet out of there. Kind of a creepy location, but it's fitting that this car should just die like The Walking Dead and just move on. And that's all I gotta say. Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video. We hope you enjoy the content in this video. We'd love to have you come back. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And for those subscribers who are looking for that extra special thing that you can do to support this channel, consider joining our members group. That's where we're building this community, the Gears and Tech community, where we can all enjoy content together. You'll get special perks, which we'd love for you to check out by clicking the link down below. For those of you who are just happy to watch the video, that's okay too. You can check out some of our other content right over here, where we've got some previous videos that have already been uploaded and enjoyed by many of our viewers already. We do hope to see you again. This has been Gears and Tech. Have a great day.